Everyone, welcome back to a brand new Football Manager experiment. We've been doing quite a lot of these lately, and you guys seem to be absolutely loving them. But if this is getting a bit much, do let me know. But if you enjoy this experiment, also let me know in the comments, because I'm more than happy to do another part of this. The experiment's one of my favourite videos to make. And this one, we're playing with Salford City. Now, we're not actually the manager. The manager is still Anthony Johnson, who is a very dark silhouette. But he is still the manager of Salford City. We are just observing what happens in this experiment, and the reason that we're on the Salford City page is that we've made some little changes to their database. The majority of the club is completely the same as it was before, so its reputation, everything else. All that we have changed are their facilities. We have given one of the bottom league teams, a non-league team currently in the 6th tier of English football, the perfect training, youth and junior coaching facilities with perfect youth recruitment as well. The idea being that without changing their financial resources whatsoever, they will be able to bring through and train some of the best possible youth talent, which anybody who's done a lower league or non-league management save will know is absolutely crucial to getting up the leagues very, very quickly. So we're just going to let this season run quite a long time. It will take time for this to pick up, because obviously a lot of these players will get poached. There won't be perfect players every year. And it will just take time for the team to slowly go up the leagues. But the main thing is, do the team benefit from these new facilities, or do they carry on relying on signings and first team experienced players like the game usually relies on? Now, one of the reasons I picked Salford is that actually when you look at their finances, they have a back end sugar daddy, so he will back up the club when there is a problem or some other issue. He won't be pumping money into the club. He'll just be sitting back there, and if any problems arise or there's high costs, he will put money in. And that is one of the side effects of having perfect facilities, is the upkeep of them. It won't be a massive upkeep, but it will be enough that the chairman will probably need to pump some money in. So it will be an interesting experiment. It'll be nice to see where they are in a few years' time, if they're making profit, if they've gone up the leagues, if they've kept their best players, or if they're being poached by the bigger teams in the Premier League. So now what we're going to do is run forward, I think probably quite a way in time, probably not a short amount of time. This might be maybe 10 years, maybe more. I'll probably stop it and see how much further we need to go to get real progress. But we're going to jump forward in time and see how Salford have got on with their perfect facilities. We are now 22 years in the future. We've gone forward a long, long way in time. Now, if you remember, when we left them, Salford were in the 6th tier of English football. Very little had changed. They'd just been given the perfect facilities. And this is actually starting out in the 18-19 season. That is when they got promoted from the 6th tier. They got relegated the season after that, and then spent a couple of years struggling to get up. Second place, not enough to get them into the National League. But then they did it. They won the Vanarama National League North for the second time, got promoted and finished 10th before getting promoted again twice in 2 seasons into the Football League. And then they did a bit of a yo-yo, getting relegated, getting promoted, getting relegated, and then a couple of seasons of mediocrity before getting promoted again and establishing themselves as a League 2 team, finishing 4th in their first season in League 2, which is pretty remarkable, really. They then dropped down to 15th before bouncing back and finishing 2nd. Then again experiencing a yo-yo situation, getting relegated 22nd place before going up through the playoffs, I think, if they're finishing 4th. And they have now established themselves as a League 1 team, not just a League 1 team, a League 1 team who has made it into the playoffs twice in a row before dropping down to 11th place. They're currently in 8th place in the league at the moment. We're in December right now, and sitting in 8th place in the league. As you can see, they are in 8th place. They're just off these playoff positions. It looks like they aren't going to win the league. Notts County are far too far ahead of them. But they're definitely in and around the promotion places and could well be in the Championship by next season. But it looks like they're making pretty steady progress. Now, I think what we'll do is, if we take a look at their senior squad and some of their best players, we can maybe see how they came through the team. So Danny Power is the most expensive player they've got. If we have a look at his history, you'll see he actually started out at Arsenal, moved to Reading, and then was signed for £1.8 million. Quite a big transfer for them. I think most of their top players are actually players they picked elsewhere. So he came from Birmingham. Adjei, he's come through Salford as well. Through Crystal Palace, and then moved to Salford back when they first got into League One. Keith Conlon, he is another player that they brought in from elsewhere, 450k. Dale Finn, he has come through from Watford, signed from Plymouth just this season. Callum Hughes, another one brought in, or started out at Cardiff. Higgs, he's coming from Southampton. So it looks like they're better players have all actually come from other clubs. They haven't come through the academy themselves, but they may have been attracted to the excellent facilities that Salford have. So Joseph also not there. If we have a look at Porter from Arsenal, so their big players really aren't from within the club. They've been signed from elsewhere. I don't know if they've actually got anybody who's come through their youth ranks, which is absolutely crazy, unless their players are getting pinched from other clubs. I don't really understand why they don't have anybody from their youth team in the first team. It looks like absolutely every single one of their players has come from elsewhere. Maybe some of these... so here's the first one. Here's one that has come through the academy and stayed at the club, Steve Harris, but he's right down there, not somebody that plays regularly. You've also got Shepherd, who is a Salford player, never played anywhere else. Russell Slade, probably the same, he's only 18, another youth academy prospect. So they don't have any great players at the club. All of the other ones have actually come through different systems. But if we take a look at their under-23s, there's not really any real value in this club. Michael Howell, the most expensive one, he has come through the youth system. In the under-18s, again, not many great players in here, but I imagine they've all come through the youth system. So it looks like they don't actually have that many great players in their team right now, which is a little bit unfortunate for them. But if we take a look at their transfer history, and sort it maybe by fee, you'll see Joe Maloney, he went to Oxford. Where did he start out? He's another player that they brought in, so he wasn't even signed by the club. Bauer, another player they brought in, not being sold by the club. So it's difficult based on this season and their current squad. They don't seem to have any major players in there, but if we go back in time, we can maybe take a look at their biggest transfers and see where they came from. Chris Bunting, he is another player signed from Chelsea. The year before that, Alex Dowell, where did he come from? He's only 22. He is a Salford youth prospect, so he's come through and gone to Norwich in the Championship. Sold for 3.4 up to 4.2 million pounds. Steve Murphy is not the most expensive. The most expensive is John Owens. He's only 20. And he's another Salford graduate. He's actually moved to Burnley for £12.75 million. They lost out on quite a bit of money by letting him go. Gary Kelly went to Hull, 21 years old. He is another Salford graduate. So it looks like they are producing young players, but they are getting poached as soon as they come through the team. 350k there. I wonder if these 350k players are also... Yeah, they are Salford graduates being taken in their first season at the club, and that's a big problem, I suppose, for the team, is that they're losing these players as fast as they get them, which means that it takes longer to actually get up the leagues because they come through, they're sold just 2 years in while they're still cheap, and then they have to reinvest the money in the first team, getting all the players than they maybe would like. Kieran Beach, 32 years old now, but started out at Salford, moved to Huddersfield, had a bit of time in League One before ending up at Rangers. Let's just see if there's any absolutely major transfers. We're getting close to the start of the game at this point. There wasn't 190k, which at this point would have been quite a lot of money for the club. He went to Charlton. If we look at his career stats, he started out at Southampton while they were in the National League and then moved to the Championship. Had a pretty mediocre career in the lower leagues, but it looks like it's sort of towards the end of this 22-year stretch that they started to get the real money coming in, and I suppose that's because they're a bigger club and were able to hang on to the players for longer. That 3.4 million for Alex Dell, definitely the biggest piece of business. And he stayed at the club for quite a while, so it was a sign that now that they're in League One, they are beginning to retain these players at least for a little bit longer. And if they can get into the Championship, they should be able to hang on even more. But let's just take a quick look at their facilities and see if they've managed to maintain them, or if they've actually just fallen apart. If we go back to Salford and edit the club details, click on their facilities, you'll see they do still have perfect junior coaching and youth recruitment, but their other facilities have dropped down to 16 and 17 because they obviously age over time and you have to pay extra money to upgrade them again, so they're losing that training and youth facilities over time. And unless I go in and manually fix it, they're not going to invest their money back into the club. But it clearly is having a big difference. At least the training facilities will have a massive will give Salford a massive competitive advantage, and it looks like if they keep going the way they are, they will reach the Premier League. And the money from selling their youth academy players is also obviously being reinvested back into the team. But I think that is going to be it for this experiment. If you're interested to maybe go another 20 years in the future and see where Salford are, I can obviously put their facilities back up to 20 or maybe make some other changes if there's anything that you suggest. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see more of this experiment and how far Salford can go. And obviously drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it as well. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more Football Manager experiments. But until next time, see ya!